So today we're going to be talking about 3D printers, specifically the 3D printer that you see behind me. And if you're in the market for a 3D printer, I would suggest you stick around so that you can hear why I think this is currently the best deal you can get in 3D printing for the money. This is not a sponsored video. I bought this printer with my own money. I think I bought it 2 years ago. It was 2 Black Fridays ago. I bought this with my own money. I paid full price. I have nothing to do with Qidi. This is just me giving a review, or I guess giving my experience with this printer over the last couple of years, just because I think it's a really good printer, and like I said, for the money, it's one of the best you can get right now because it's very heavily discounted at the moment. And before I get into it, if you like this video, if this helps you out in any way, please subscribe. Feel free to like the video if it ends up helping you. And yeah, it's a new channel, trying to get to 300 subscribers at the moment. We're at like 279 or something like that. But so Qidi X-Plus 3 is the printer that's sitting behind me right now. Let's see if it'll autofocus. There we go. So it is a Core XY fully enclosed printer with a heated chamber that goes up to 65 degrees Celsius. The print head will print at 350 degrees. And not only that, the print head can be swapped out. It literally comes with 2 detachable nozzles, so the whole assembly can come off, and you can have one nozzle ready to go to swap out for, like, let's say you print with carbon fiber nylon and you need to use, you know, a hardened steel nozzle, and then you want to switch to PLA and print with a brass nozzle or whatever. It takes a couple of minutes to swap nozzles on this thing, and like I said, it comes with an extra, so you can literally have one ready to go versus the other. It even comes with a hardened steel nozzle as well. So it comes with a hardened steel nozzle and it comes with brass nozzles. So right off the bat, you're getting everything that you need to be able to print with almost any filament, right? A lot of printers can't get up to 350 degrees like this one can, but that 350 will significantly extend the types of filaments that you can print with. And also, like I said, with the heated chamber, that's also another limitation for some filaments, is whether or not the chamber itself is heated. So this printer, right out of the box, is going to let you print with some fairly, high-end filaments without you having to do a bunch of work. Like, you don't have to build an enclosure, you don't have to build a heater, you don't have to go through all the trouble. It's just ready to go out of the box to start printing with the fancy stuff, or with, the regular stuff. It's all up to you. So I bought this printer Black Friday, 2 Black Fridays ago, and I paid, I believe it was $800. Okay, currently on Qidi's website, and maybe also on their Amazon store, I'm not sure, I haven't checked that, you can get this printer for $499, which is crazy. Like, that's an insanely good deal. They apparently have dropped the price since I bought it, because even the non-sale price is what I paid when it was on Black Friday sale. So for $499, you're getting a fully enclosed printer that can print at 350 degrees. It's Core XY, so you're going to get more reliable prints without, having to worry about the weight of the print as you're like getting taller and taller. Like if you have like an Ender 3 V2, like I've got one sitting right up there. If you print something that's very tall and thin, like a big tube basically standing upright, by the time you get to the top of that tube, because of the fact that the bed is moving back and forth, if you don't slow it way down, you'll end up with issues where the print itself is like swaying with the motion of the printer. With a Core XY, you don't have to worry about that because the bed itself moves down, and then the print head is the only thing that's moving around like this. So like I said, I've had this for 2 years, and I bought this printer specifically so that I could print stuff that I don't think YouTube wants me to talk about, but I've been talking about it. Like, if you guys have seen my other videos, you've seen that I've talked a bunch about homemade suppressors and homemade guns and homemade, that kind of stuff, pew stuff. So I bought this printer specifically because I knew I was going to be getting more into that. I wanted the option to be able to print on, more higher end, like engineering type filaments. And so while the Ender 3 V2 is a great printer, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Ender 3 V2. It's amazing. It'll get the job done just as well as anything else. It does have limitations, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't print with fancier filaments on it. It just means that you're going to have to go out of your way a little more to make it come out right. Whereas with the Qidi, everything's already ready to go out of the box. Like I said, the heated chamber, the fact that it's enclosed, and the fact that the nozzle can go up to 350 degrees and swaps easily from one to the next, it takes a lot of the end user work out of the equation. So I've been using this thing. I've printed, like I said, I've printed all of my suppressors off of this printer. I've printed I did a video on the 3011, which is like that, turns your 1911 into like a carbine style pistol. I printed that off of this printer. Everything, all my pew pew stuff has come off of this printer, and it comes out as long as you understand what you're doing. Obviously, user error can come into things as much as anything else, but the prints always come out perfect. And it's not to say that I couldn't get great prints off of my Ender. It's just, like I said, it required more attention from me. It required more thought on my end in order to get things just right on the Ender. And the hot end couldn't get as hot, which means I'd have to upgrade it if I wanted to be able to print certain, like I did actually end up upgrading my Ender quite a few times. I put on the direct drive. I had bought a new hot end and it still didn't get to the same temperature as this one. I upgraded the firmware to a different firmware that I can't remember what it is. It's Dolphin, is that? I can't remember. There was another firmware that I added to the printer that made it a lot better. So I did a bunch of stuff to the Ender to make it, as good as it could be. And it's a great printer, but there was limitations. Things that, I wanted to do, I couldn't do. So when I saw the Qidi go on sale, I decided to grab it. And honestly, with the price having gone down to $4.99, it's one of those things where it's like, it's almost tempting to get another one because of how cheap that is. Like, I paid, $800 for this, and I think it was worth it at $800. So at $500, it is a steal, And let me talk a little bit about the aftermarket support, okay? Because on 2 separate occasions, I've had to use the tech support for Qidi. On one occasion, I fired the printer up, I started a print, and I left to go do other stuff, and then when I came back, everything was dark. The printer was off, wasn't responding to anything I was doing. I could still hear the fans kicking on the motherboard and stuff, but the screen was off, and I couldn't get it to do anything. So I contacted their support line or their support email, and their hours are a little weird because they're in China, so they end up responding to you very late at night, which for me, that's not a problem. Like, I'm up late anyways. For some people, it might be an issue, but they responded late at night. It was like, I think they start responding at like 9 or 10 p.m. my time, and I'm in Texas. They go back and forth a little bit, trying to figure out what the issue is, and then boom, they're sending parts out. And they don't send the parts out snail mail. They literally sent the parts out. I think it was 2-day air. It wasn't next day delivery, but it was pretty dang close. And coming from China, that's insane. Like, if you've ever ordered anything off AliExpress, you know how long things take when they're shipped from China. It can take weeks for you to get something from China. But not when it comes to these dudes. They send out parts fast. Like, they're wasting no time. And I think in this case, it ended up being, there was some little tiny board that's on the print head itself that had failed somehow. And so the printer just can't deal with that particular board. So there was nothing wrong with the screen. There was nothing wrong with the motherboard. It was just, there was some little board on the print head itself. And once that went out, it caused all sorts of it made the whole printer basically just go dark. But they, like I said, 2 days, I had the part in hand. They didn't charge me anything. Literally the whole experience was free. They sent me very detailed instructions. Like, they'll send you videos. They have a Google Drive where they have videos of a guy who's doing all of the repairs, And so you literally have a step-by-step video to show you exactly what you need to do to fix it. So I got the parts, it was easy, I replaced it, boom, the printer's back up and running. The second time that I needed to deal with tech support, there wasn't anything wrong with the printer. I had just seen a bunch of people talking about how they upgraded the fans that are on the print head. They upgraded the print head's cooling solution so that it just made it better. It made, like you would have issues potentially if you're using like a really hot print head setting. Like if you're dealing with a filament that required a high temperature, you might have issues with, not getting adequate cooling on the part. So they redid the fan and the way that it guides air in and everything like that. And so I wasn't even experiencing the issue that people were talking about, but everyone had said that it was, an improvement to their experience. So I just contacted customer support and I was like, hey, I heard you guys upgraded, the cooling solution on the print head. Can you guys send it to me? And they did. Again, with 2-day shipping, they literally sent me, no questions asked, this part from China, and it got here within 2 days. And like I said, in that specific scenario, there wasn't anything wrong with my printer. I wasn't having the same issue that those people were having. I just wanted the new upgraded part because why not? And they sent it to me with no issues. The reason why I bring up the customer service thing specifically is because I've seen a lot of people try to talk poorly about the experiences that they've had with Qidi. And look, maybe they did have a bad experience. It's entirely possible that for whatever reason, their experience sucked. I'm not psychic. I'm not calling anybody a liar if they had a bad experience. I'm just saying that my experience has been 10 out of 10. I mean, this company has better customer service than I can't even think of an example of a company that has better customer service than them, or at least that I've interacted with. Okay, like I'm literally trying to think of the last time I've had to deal with some other customer service. Actually, another Chinese company that I have a DTF printer sitting over here. DTF stands for direct to film. For those of you who don't know, I am a business owner. I own a screen printing business. I do screen printing. I also do direct to film printing, which allows me to print high quality transfers. So this kind of stuff is DTF, right? So this gets printed out onto a film, and then I use my heat press to press it onto the shirt. That's a whole other video about what all that stuff even means or whatever. That's why my channel is called Will Print for Food. I know it seems like the name comes from 3D printing because that's all I've been talking about lately, but the name is actually because I print t-shirts for a living. So Will Print for Food is a play on. Anyways, so that printer had issues. I bought it like 4 or 5 months ago, maybe less than that. And ever since I've had it, it's had nothing but issues because there's a motor that moves the print head across the film, and that motor starts to overheat. And then when it starts to overheat, the motherboard slows everything down. So I'll be printing, and then all of a sudden it goes down to like half the printing speed, which is unacceptable when you're doing this kind of stuff. Like this business relies on speed and efficiency. So anyways, customer service for that DTF printer is garbage. Absolute garbage. I've been dealing with them. I have a chat log that goes back 3 months, and I ended up fixing the problem myself because in 3 months I was able to study everything that's available online for this printer and figure out what the problem was and fix it myself. They took 3 weeks to send me a part from China. 3 weeks I had to wait for a part that they're claiming is going to fix the printer, and it wasn't even the issue it didn't even fix what was going on. I was able to order a different part from AliExpress for a different issue, and that part that I ordered from AliExpress, that I ordered a week after they told me they were shipping their part, my part showed up before theirs did. So the only reason I realized I just went off on a tangent that has nothing to do with the Qidi X-Plus 3, I was just giving the example that customer service makes a huge difference, makes a massive difference. And there's terrible examples like this printer from Ink Sonic. Don't ever buy from that company, just random tangent there. Ink Sonic, their customer service sucks. Qidi, their customer service is crazy good. Like I said, just the speed at which they get you the parts is insane. Obviously, like I said, some people are not going to be cool with the fact that they only contact you at night. That could slow down communication for a lot of people. Like if you're not available to respond to them from the hours of like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., you know, it could slow things down a lot and make it difficult for you to get what you need in a timely manner. For me, that wasn't an issue because I'm already up late all the time. I get their email at 10 p.m. and I'm responding back, and you know they're pretty good about getting back to you again that same night. So for me, they were able to sort everything out super quick. And like I said, it's a no questions asked kind of thing. Like the first time when I needed that first part, they did establish, you know, they wanted the proof of purchase or whatever. But once you've made contact with them the first time, they just, you know, they just send stuff out, no questions asked. They don't keep asking you over and over again, hey, let me see your receipt or whatever. So that for me makes a huge difference. That's a big deal for me. So anyways, I mean, if you're just brand new to 3D printing, I would highly recommend like something like the Ender 3 V2. Like if you don't know how much printing you're really going to do, if this is new for you and you just want to experiment with it and just find out how you're going to like the hobby, or if you're going to like it at all, I would suggest, you know, you can probably find an Ender 3 V2 for cheap. I would reckon you can probably find those for like $150 these days. You know, I think I paid less than $200 for mine, and that was years ago. So, you know, if you're brand new and you're just, you know, you don't even know if you're going to be printing for a while and you just kind of want to get into it as like a hobby, maybe stick with something cheap like the Ender 3 V2 because you can't go wrong. But if you're in the market for a 3D printer and you want to be printing, you know, fancy filaments for your pew-pew stuff, like, you know, maybe you're interested in those homemade suppressors, maybe you've already got the Form 1 approved and you want to get going on printing something, or maybe you live in Texas like I do. In Texas, you don't even have to have a Form 1. If you're in Texas, there's a state law that says as long as the suppressor stays in Texas and is made in Texas, as long as it never leaves Texas, that law says that the suppressor can't be regulated by the federal government. Now, that's not legal advice. The ATF is really corrupt, and they like to overreach, you know, where they don't belong. They tried to come out with some bulletin last year saying homemade suppressors are illegal no matter what, and it was in direct response to the fact that Texas passed that homemade suppressor bill. So it's, when you get into that kind of stuff, it's dicey legally. I just get my Form 1s because it protects me. I have double protection. I'm protected by the fact that I'm in Texas making these things, and I'm protected by the fact that I have the Form 1 that the ATF wants me to get. So nobody can kick my door down, and if they do, boy howdy. Anyways, like I said at the beginning of this video, this printer, for the money, it's hard to beat the value. Like, you really, for $500, you're not gonna find the same feature set in any other printer. A lot of people like to talk about the Bamboo. Like for the last year or two, actually I think it's been ever since I've had this printer, I've been hearing everybody really just creaming about the Bamboo and how great it is. And I'm sure it's a great printer. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a bad printer, but it's also much more expensive. And pound for pound, it doesn't do anything that this printer can't do, other than, you know, it's got that multi-filament system. Like, that's like the one thing the Bamboo can do that this one can't do. But like I said, if you're in the market for a printer and you already got something, you already know you're going to be in the hobby, like let's say you're upgrading from an Ender and you're looking for your next step, it is almost impossible to find a better deal than this. Just straight across the board, for $500, you're not going to get these features anywhere else. Like the Creality K1 or something like that, their big enclosed printer doesn't come close. You know, this printer, it's high speed, it goes up to 600 millimeters per second or whatever, you know, just like all the other high speed Core XY printers. But yeah, it's going to do everything that you want it to do. So I can't recommend it highly enough. Like I said, it was worth it for $800. For $500, it's a steal. So anyways, if this video was helpful to you, like I said at the beginning, feel free to like and subscribe. New channel, we're growing. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. We're new. So that'll do. I'll see you guys in the next one.